This is A Who All Gonna Be Their podcast, a place where you get to be an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to A Who All Gonna Be Their podcast, the place where you get to become an exclusive member of our very entertaining group chat. This is our finale episode of our third season of the podcast, as well as the finale episode of Survivor 42. What is going on? I'm Kiki. We have Tracy. We have Eric. What is good? How are you guys doing?
We tired, boss, because the episode was 8 hours long.
That's what I was crazy.
Listen.
What's the episode so long? I thought it was a 2-hour episode. That was 3 hours.
Baby. I was not expecting. I just wasn't expecting this to. I just didn't expect it.
It was like 9 o'clock. I said, hold on.
I said, I know we were recording. I said, are we behind? Did we fast forward and miss them?
Look.
By 9:19, I said, I guess it's still going.
Right. And then we was like, okay, go to 9:30. We checked the schedule, talking about 10. Like, dang, we still got 41 minutes left of this.
Look. Listen.
But what an episode it was.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us on Twitter, YouTube, as well as wherever you're listening to this at today. We're really not going to be before you long. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Eric. We're going to get him. He's going to talk about everything that happened.
Give us a recap.
He's going to give us that recap.
A recap.
We're going to get out your way.
Don't be giving us too much details, Eric. They saw it.
Listen, I tried to make my notes as succinct as possible, but we're going to see. So, the episode, it starts off with this really nice opener. They have each individual player. They're talking about how they fighting for this win. They're going to win. They got to do what they got to do. They doing this and they doing that. And it's showing them struggling. They climbing bars. They grabbing ropes, they swimming across the ocean, and they doing all this thing. And it's a really iconic opener. Because I don't remember them doing. Well, did they do this last season? I can't remember. But I thought it was a really good opener. And so they're coming back from, Omer's being voted off. And immediately Romeo is talking about making a fake idol. I said, oh, Lord, here we go.
Here we go. Why every season everybody want to make a darn fake idol? Like, come on.
Somebody got to do it.
Because it's come in handy.
Listen,
I think everybody
if it's used right.
If it's used right, I think everybody took a page out of Rupert's book from season 20 from Heroes versus Villains. He put that big old rock in his pocket and they thought he had an idol, and because he was the target. But they were like, oh, he got an idol, so we can't get rid of him. And then come to find out he never so I think that's why everybody's like, oh, let me make an idol. So he does that. And then Lindsay, she's scrambling. She knows she made a mistake deep down. She realizes that the only way for her to make it to the end is for her to win this next immunity challenge. And so she's going up to Mike. So Marianne said that you're going to use the idol on her, but what about us? We had this relationship. He was like, oh, I'm going to use it on you because we've been working together. So in her mind, she's like, okay, Mike is telling me this, but I don't know if I can trust it. And Marianne is thinking he's going to use it on her. I'm thinking he's going to use it on me, but who knows? So my only chance at survival, again, is to just win this immunity challenge. So because she's all over the place. And then they get tree mail. Everybody's like, oh, okay, tree mail. There's a last and final advantage available. And everybody's like, oh, we have to get this. Like, this is a crucial moment in the game. We cannot allow this advantage to slip through our fingers. Scrambling. And amongst the scrambling, she's the only one who figured out the secret code to even get the advantage or even go look for the advantage. The rest of them, they're like, oh, let's hurry up and work together so we can stop her from getting it. Because everybody knew that if Lindsay gets this advantage, she's more than likely going to win. If she's been winning these last challenges without any help, imagine what she's going to do with an advantage. And so she finds the clue. And then after much searching, she's been climbing up the rocks. She's in the trees. She's digging in the bushes. And then she finally settles on what the final advantage is. And so she finds it. And they get to the, immunity challenge. And it's a really elaborate challenge. So, they have to untie the bags and get their planks and set the planks over across the rope and climb across the rope and then get on their hands and knees and climb across the platform and get through this and duck
and over the
this
river
thing
and through the woods
and around the way. And so they have to do all this, and then the final portion is to solve a puzzle. Lindsay's advantage was, so everybody has to untie 6 knots. She only had to do 1, and everybody's like, 1? She only got to do 1? And so, and I was like, oh, so she must have to get through this a little quickly, because we seen how big of a help the advantage was to Erica, because Erica got the same advantage with the challenge that they had last week. That's the one she got the advantage was, meaning she had all her steps put together except for like 1. And so we're like, well, this could be Lindsay's to win because she got this huge advantage. No, somehow she fumbles a 5-knot lead and lets Jonathan come back and catch up with her.
5-knot lead.
Suffers a 5-knot lead. And here go her and Jonathan. All right, Hercules and Xena, they back at it again, trying to build the puzzle. So they putting their little pieces, and then Jonathan gets stumped, unsurprisingly. He can't figure it out. And fireman Mike, he pulls up to the puzzle and he gets to work. He building them edges, he putting the pieces, and he gets the whole circle. And then it's neck and neck. She can't get a piece. All right, here he go. He can't get the piece. Then she catches back up. And so it gets down. They got 4 pieces each. Mike gets 1. She gets 1. Mike gets 1. She gets 1. Mike is trying to keep it from falling. It looks like hers is going to tip over because it's a real thin puzzle. And if you push too hard, it's going to knock your pieces over.
And so start all the way over.
Hers was like waving like a dandelion in the wind. I was like, oh, Lord, she getting ready to lose this puzzle. But she keep it together. And so she got 2 pieces. Mike got 1. So Mike trying to force this one little piece in, and she gets 1. So it's 1 and 1, but he squeezes in right before she picks up the last piece. And she like, dang, 1 piece. So she loses by 1 piece. Mike wins immunity.
And that was her game to lose for real.
It
was. For her to have that huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all think that was fair though? The advantage?
No.
For that to be the advantage for that particular
company? I thought it was wild that they threw that so late in the game.
Oh my God.
But they did it last season. And we're like, why are you doing advantages at Final 5?
Right. Just that's let ridiculous. It play out at this point. Advantage nothing. We've all made it to Final 5. Thank you very much. There's
no powers, no advantage, no twists, no nothing.
Right.
But in her favor, it didn't work out. So she did not make it. And Mike wins. And with his win, he gets to take somebody on a pasta date, a little trip for some pasta and stuff. And I got to choose this person deserves this award because they came in here 250 pounds and they only 210 and he needs this. So Johnny,
everybody lost weight. Shut up.
I said he needed it. He deserved it. How you know?
Just
he
say you wanted to pick him.
Just say his strategy.
Say what your dress. Yeah.
Because how you know who he 200? What scale y'all got? So how you know he's 210 pounds?
Right.
For all we know, he was never 250. Right. So I was like, fine, choose your little friend. So they go eat the little pasta. It did look good, by the way. So they get pasta and they're talking. And so they know, well, Jonathan knows that Mike has an idol. And so he's like, will you use your idol on me? Basically, he was like, give me your word. And Mike was like, oh, I don't have to shake your hand with it. I tell you, I'm gonna use this idol on you. I'm gonna use this idol on you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
She knew right there.
I said this little idol dilemma gonna get him in trouble. Because outside of that, on the flip side, Lindsay is talking with Marianne and Romeo. And she's like, I just don't understand because I've worked hard. I'm a better player than Jonathan. And I know Mike is gonna try to use the idol, and that's when Marianne was like, "No, like I'm gonna use the idol. He's supposed to use it on me, so you ain't gotta worry." And she's like, "Well, he told me that too. Mike told me he gonna use it on me. So at this point, he could be lying to everybody and not use it at all." And so when Mike comes back, she run up to him. Okay, so what are you doing? Basically, she's like, "You using this thing on me, and I need to know." And he's like, "I want you. She's like, but I've been loyal to you, Mike. I've been loyal to you to this game. I've given you loyalty. So why wouldn't you repay that?" He's like, I understand that, but some other people in this game have been loyal to me too. And I don't want to break any promises, but it's clear that he's going to have to lie to somebody. Somebody's promise is going to be broken. It's either going to be Jonathan's, Lindsay's, or Marianne. One of them is going to have their hearts broken. when it comes to this tribal council, because we don't know what Mike is going to do, because he very well could not use it at all and leave it open season. And so we get to the tribal council, and Lindsay flat out says, when Jeff asks her how she's feeling, she's like, I'm going home. I knew I needed to win, and I know I'm the target. I know they want me out. And there's nothing I can do. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm trying to have these conversations. Even now, Jeff, I'm trying. I'm giving it all I can. I'm saying one last thing in hopes that I can change somebody's and change their mind. But I really don't know at this point. My game is up to Mike. If he gonna do what he said he gonna do. And she basically also said that I wouldn't be in this position if Omar hadn't tricked everybody. And I was like, not you throwing him under the bus.
Listen, was.
And Jonathan like, oh, don't try to say this is all Omar's fault, because you may not have known he's done, but you have a good social game, Lindsay, because she was trying to downplay. I know we saw what she was trying to do. She trying to downplay like she not this good, and she just, she
tried it, man.
But everybody pretty much called her out. They were like, you're a fighter, Lindsay. Like, you have shown that if you leave tonight, like we're gonna call you the fighter, because you have fought tooth and nail in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody goes to cast their vote, and they come back, and Jeff's like, does anybody have an immunity idol they want to use or whatever? And Mike stands up. He stood up, and he's like, I made a promise in this game, Jeff, and I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to play this for myself, but I'm going to play it in everybody, Mary Ann's eyes, Lindsay eyes, Jonathan. They like hungry wolves.
Feeling hopeful, child.
Look, everybody
thought it was going to be.
But Romeo sitting down like, well, I know he ain't using it on me. So
right. Romeo minding his business.
And so I'm using it for Mary Ann. And she gets up. And she
Listen,
goes
I screamed with her though. I really did.
Did you see her reaction though after she got it? She said
she did.
Because
I know I'm safe. And I got this item in my pocket that I ain't gotta use.
Look, but I swore that she was. I saw it on her face, and she confirmed it later on. I saw it on her face. I said she wants to use this idol.
Mm-hmm.
She really does.
In the final tribal council.
Yes, she wants to use it, but I'm glad that she did not, because that her
they probably would have lost $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so she kept her idol a secret. And she said multiple times throughout this episode in her confessionals, this is the only secret of the season. And I'm really keeping it in my pocket. And I was like, okay, come on, only secret of the season.
Right, because she knew everybody else was running their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Every advantage, every
she ran her own mouth about the other two.
Yep, did.
And so she kept that. And then here go Romeo. I would like to not play this because this is a fake.
He threw that little raggedy thing on the fire.
Throw it in the fire.
I know. He could have kept that souvenir. Took it to the house.
Listen, for real.
And so the vote comes out, and it is Lindsay being voted off. And she was so hurt and disappointed. But it's like, sis, you really don't have anybody's to blame but yourself, because had you used your idol to save Omar, you would have had an ally coming into the 5.
That would have been the move for her. That's where she messed up on.
Yeah.
She
probably would have made it to final 3.
Yeah. Because they would have got Omar out instead of her.
Yep.
Or who knows? Omar might have won the puzzle because he's good at puzzles. So he might have won.
That could have been his comp right there.
And and they 3 of them, because I'm sure Marianne would have voted with them, and they could have got out Jonathan. Or Mike, no, Mike had an idol, so they would have got out Jonathan.
Yep.
So yeah, Lindsay, thank you for your service.
Listen, and shout out to you, Lindsay, because this second half of the game, you really put it into gear. And
she did.
She gave Jonathan a run for his money.
Yes.
Oh, what?
Yes. Like, she should be very proud.
Absolutely.
Like, he was defeated as a result of her.
Yep.
He was threatened.
Broke down that man's ego.
Threatened. He was laying down and half depressed come the second half, because he wasn't his streak wasn't there no more.
Yep. And this come to my attention, and I just feel like he's threatened by powerful, strong women, because he kept, like, in the beginning, he was like, well, you voted for me, Lindsay. You voted for me. Like, why are you being aggressive? Like, he was quick to call a woman aggressive.
Yes.
And I'm just like, You just don't like that women are strong.
The combativeness, though, that even carried into, I know we're not on the second half yet, but that carried into tribal council as well. I'm like, dude, relax, pipe down.
He don't like no woman being in power at all.
He don't
want a woman to speak their mind. He don't want them to say nothing.
I didn't like that.
Sit down, shut up, and make him his 13 eggs. How many eggs he
18.
18 eggs.
For breakfast.
Oh,
yep.
my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't trust nobody with no dreads.
Stop, trees. So yeah, that was the end of her game, and we're down to the final four. So that was part 1 of the finale, and we're moving into part 2 with the final 4. And this one is, I don't want to say do or die because I'm so sick of that term, but it's really no. At this point, it's just do. There is no die. It's do
much at this point.
Is it?
Do to guarantee you a little bit more money in your pocket, even if it's not $1 million, so you can guarantee you get something.
Get a little change.
Yeah, something substantial.
And so the challenge that they bring back is the one that I've seen from Survivor 37, but I guess it started in Tocantins, I believe. I don't know. I haven't seen that season, but I remember it from season 37. It was the Final Four competition. And it's the one where they have to put the ball inside this little mechanism thing, and it'll roll around and roll around. You got to hit one hand behind your back, and then the ball comes out.
I didn't realize it had to be one hand behind your back, too.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yep.
Do you hear me? Tied up.
That's what messed you up.
Oh, my God.
So Jeff lets them put one ball in to get a feel for it, like the rhythm of it, and to kind of see why Mike dropped the ball in the warm-up phase.
Baby, in the first one, talking about you out. He thought didn't nobody see it either. He tried to throw it back up in there. I said,
you dropped it. You out. He said, in the warm-up. And then Jeff throwing the salt on in the warm-up phase at that. Like, we didn't even get started.
One thing wrong. How you gonna call it a warm-up and be like, all right, you out?
Oh, man. Jeff gonna call somebody out. He don't care what it is.
And repeatedly. Look at you losers on the side as everybody else continues on with the race. You see that, losers? God. Like look, rub it in, man.
So Mike is out within literally before the first round even really begins. And so they're going around. They put one ball in, then they put 2. This is where I would have been out at 2, because when they start putting 2, it doesn't just go in the regular circle. There's mechanisms that switch over that kick it to another phase of the mechanism, and then they're in different directions.
On opposite sides.
And you still got one hand. You still got to focus on both, because if you take your eye for one, you try to grab one, the other one gonna come out. And if you
I think it was only 2 spots that came out, right? So it's going down the chute, and there's only 2.
It'll like either go to the left or to the right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a slide. And so they're going for a little bit. They put 3 balls in, and Marianne, as she doing it real quick, so she's trying to hurry up and quickly get one ball and put it back in there. As she grabs it, she tries to put it in there, and it drops. She misses the entrance, and so she's out. And so it's down to Goliath and David, pretty much. A little Romeo.
It was, huh?
David versus Goliath. I said, come on, Romeo, slay the giant. Slay Goliath. Please do it for the people. And so they go in there, they put 4 balls or 5 balls. I forgot how many balls they got up to. And they going.
I think they got up to 4.
Okay, 4.
I think so.
And Jonathan misses the ball.
Ooh, because he was being too cocky. When they was on that 3rd ball, he was over there like,
smug, huh?
Yep, he did have his little rhythm, though. Going to the left, going to the right. He had a rhythm.
He feeling himself too much. That's why.
Look.
And Romeo wins the most important immunity challenge. Very clutch one. And since people scammering, because they like, what's gonna do? What is he gonna do? Who's he gonna choose? And so everybody's trying to plead their case of why they don't need to be in the fire making challenge, because they're not trying to. They want to be safe. But everybody, in case they don't get chosen, they have to prepare for fire. So Jonathan trying, he starts the fire real quick. Marianne trying, she's doing pretty good. Mike is trying, he's doing pretty good with starting fires. And so everybody seems like, they pretty good at making fires. Unlike last season where some people were kind of struggling with it. And so
I think the significant thing with that moment was Mike Mike really played this game to the bitter end.
He did.
And so he used that, even the fire making situation, as strategy. Is like, okay, put me up against
Marianne.
He wanted to be, he put me up against Marianne, put me up against, but then he was talking to darn Jonathan. If he gives you the opportunity to go in to make fire, you take that opportunity. He was really trying to get in Jonathan's head. And just playing to the end to get into his head. And to me, I think it worked.
Right, and Jonathan act like it did. He talking about, he's trying to get in my head.
I know exactly what he's doing.
Okay.
And mind you, Jonathan was sitting up there doing the fire and all that kind of stuff. Well, I say he was making them fires in 3 seconds. But
when it came down,
when it came down to perform,
hold on. So we get to the immunity challenge. So I mean, the final tribal council, not the final. So the final 4 tribal council, before Romeo makes his decision on like what's going on. So he walks in, he got the necklace on, and he says, "This thing looks better on me than it looks on Jonathan's big." His big self.
He said, "It's a little better on me than big ass Jonathan."
Yeah,
I say, and do.
Why I didn't catch that?
Took me out.
I'm gonna send you the clip.
Oh my god!
And on top of that, when he walks in, everybody in the jury is like, "What?" And he sits down like, "Yeah, I did that. I won the last one. I got this around my neck." I was like, "You better let them know, Romeo." And so they going through why they should be taken, like what they think is gonna happen. And so Romeo finally decides, he's like, it was hard. People think it was an easy decision, but because Mike was like, "I know I'm going to make fire tonight," and da 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 da. And I feel like it's gonna be against Jonathan. And so Romeo's like, it's not an easy decision because this could be $1 million mistake if I choose the wrong person to take with me. And so he said, "But Jeff, I'm taking Marianne." Basically, he's like, he wanted to say, "I'm taking my friend Marianne." I was like, "I know that's right. Take your friend."
Yes.
And then he said he did like that, and I'm sending these 2 to make fire.
Look, he said it with a quickness, didn't even hesitate.
I'm sending these 2. They ain't got no names. It's these 2. In the Black family, they be like, "Who is them? Who is those 2?"
They know who they is.
Them got a name. Those 2 got a name. But he like, those 2 going to make fire, and they're like, "Well, go get your sticks and your little stuff."
And the whole time they kept panning the camera. Jonathan the whole time can't even pay attention to Jeff for looking over at the sticks.
Baby, he already scouting the best sticks. Like
whatever.
He like, "I'm gonna do this stick right there on the left. Ooh, I'm gonna get that one over
there."
He
was building the fire in his head already.
Baby, the fire was made already.
I'm mad that you caught that because Tracy, because we watching it together. And so that's the first thing. She's like, "Look at Jonathan over trying to pick out the best stick." He over looking.
Man, that man be on like competition mode 24/7.
Man,
that was funny to me.
And so so it gets down to, so they preparing their little table or whatever, they little box, getting ready to make their little fire. So they grab it, and Jeff's like, "All right, this is it. Make the fire, raise the flag, and you in the final 3. The loser, you out." So they get to going, and they got the magnesium. They just. And me, I'm overlooking. I said, this is why I tell the truth. If I ever were to somehow get on Survivor, I doubt it. And were to make it that far, I would just tell people to take me to fire. I'm going to lose that final 4 because I can't make no fire. And the way they have to use it, and I've been to cut my little fingers off, so I'm definitely not going to be trying to make no fire.
I'd be practicing fire making from day one. I'd be in the bath. I'm about to go to the bathroom. Over there trying to start fires. Yeah.
Look, and wasting their magnesium and messing around, they can't get no more flint.
Sure would be. Yep.
Look, not the camp can't eat and can't be warm because I didn't waste.
Because Tracy don't here want to practice.
The week 2. Yeah, they're gonna kick my behind out
for wasting our. Look, they're gonna be for wasting our magnesium and keeping us from making a fire. Tracy, you got to. Oh my goodness! And so it took a while because they were scraping. I think they were gonna run out of magnesium as much as they kept. It wasn't nothing getting there. Then they finally, Jonathan finally get it. Yeah, he finally gets a little something going, and then Mike gets it. And so he put in. Then Mike's fire starting to pick up some steam, and so he started blowing on it, and he started getting the sticks. And I was like, "You gotta be careful with them sticks." I remember last season Deshaun tried to have all them built them little sticks up, and them things just burnt on right on back down. And so Mike, instead of trying to build it up a tower, he started spreading them out, making them wide. And so his fire starts to catch, and Jonathan finally get him a little fire. His little fire kind of blowing to the side. It's a okay fire. You know, it's like, okay, because they both got some fire. But you looking at with the camera the way side by side. Mike his fire is okay.
Baby,
it's
that fire would have been just like mine. I would have just been throwing it together. I would have been like,
where Jeff was like, okay, there's only so much
so much space.
Husk.
Yeah.
Don't run out of coconut husk.
I'm
like, Jeff, let the man build the
He was
fire
just gonna build it. Say, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we gonna build this fire.
Like, be quiet. I would say, Jeff, be quiet. They would be laughing at me. Jeff, be quiet, because I can't focus with you talking.
Mr. Jeff.
Oh, look. I don't want to hear another Mr. Jeff. His name is Jeff. Jeffrey. That's what I mean. Be quiet, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
And so Mike is building, his fire is growing, and I'm surprised he didn't burn his hand, because he was like literally touching his fire.
Whole arm was in the fire.
Yeah, man. He probably got a little third degree.
Fireproof.
Okay,
must be,
because he is a firefighter. Maybe he got some resistance. There's some extra skin on there for being a firefighter. That's probably what it is. So he really had an advantage going in, because they do get used to being in, those high temperatures. So maybe it really didn't bother him as much. Because I know me. Look, because I know me. And I get a little, when the heat in the car get a little hot. I know. So I just know.
When I be trying to light my candles, they be getting too low. I be like, got throwing trash. Can't do it.
And so I'm already pyrophobic as it is. I do not like fire. I don't like to be around it. I don't want to be near it. So
I'm the opposite, Eric. I love like the smell of burning matches.
All right, we're gonna have to revisit that another day.
Candles.
We're gonna have to revisit that another day with a therapist.
Not with a therapist.
So tell us why you have this affinity.
Your fascination with fire.
Fire starter over here.
Why do you have a proclivity to use matches?
Not you. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this off camera.
Is that a box of matches?
It's a box of matches, but I have a candle right here.
Yeah, that's what it's for, the candle.
Yeah,
like on your desk.
Kiki be lighting matches and sniffing them.
Light them up.
I have a candle. I promise, listeners, viewers. I promise you.
What was that? That wasn't no candle. What is that? What flavor? It's not candle. Flavor. What scent is it?
Sweet pea.
Oh, I like and that's sweet pea. Lord, sweet pea. Let me tell y'all something.
This is a small commercial break.
Sweet pea, what's that? Champagne toast and mahogany teak wood.
Don't be talking about no champagne.
Y'all need to be delivered.
All of them have me in a chokehold.
Baby, that's the candle that's on downstairs.
Yes, it needs to go. I
love champagne toast.
Oh, y'all need to be
delivered. Baby, I have the candle. I have the lotion. I got the body wash.
Yes,
it's an obsession.
Yes.
And it's terrible.
It smells delicious. I'm
gonna put you a goodie bag together. You're gonna have some champagne toast in it.
It's gonna be toasted with champagne.
Oh my God. Y'all are terrible.
I love champagne.
So back to this fire making challenge. It really wasn't a challenge after we looked at the comparison of the fires. Mike's clearly outshined Jonathan's and burned through that little rope in no time. And Mike secures the win, sending Jonathan, rightfully so, out the game at Final Four. And that is the end of Jonathan's game. Goliath has finally fully been slain. He is out of the game. Thor has his hammer no more. And we have us a final three. And I believe that this is a really great final three. And I think it actually represents this season well, in my opinion. Because we've talked about it in multiple episodes in the beginning of the season. I always said balance. This season is giving me balance, because one tribe will win this week, the next another tribe will win this week, another tribe will win. So we constantly seeing a flow of different people in tribal council. It wasn't like last season when the blue team won pretty much. They won every challenge in the beginning and the team portion. And so balance was perfect, because there was a representative from each tribe. We had one Taku, one Vati, and one Ika representative. And I was like, this couldn't sum up this season any better. And so I loved to see that. And
then they say this was in 20 years. This is the first people of color, first time since 2002.
No. I think that was 2020. It was season 14 when it had all person of color.
It was all black.
It was all black, but
they're
gonna put
it was all black. Okay.
And
Yeah,
so
Fiji.
now,
Was it not Fiji? I can't
I'm
remember.
about to watch that season.
Gia, no, it's the season that Gia loves. Okay, I don't know why I can't ever think of it. I know what it is, but
shout
it's
out
not
to Gia.
because that's her favorite season, and so it is on our list to watch. So we will become acquainted with it. And
waiting on Eric, he too slow.
No, we just been busy. We ain't got time. I don't have time.
I'm sleepy.
But no, what you were saying, it's been since 2002 since we had a Black woman win Survivor, which was Miss Vestepia Robinson, or Towery at the time, but Miss Robinson. And so we going in like, Marianne, you gonna get this win, sis?
Come on, girl, eat it up.
But they did something that I don't think they've done before. They had jury confessionals, which was kind of cool. I loved how they were talking about it, and the jury was popping up, and like they just start showing them popping up as they were.
Yeah, that was cute.
And so they were having confessionals, and they were going down the line of each of the players and their thoughts on the players and their game. And it seemed like, I was like, oh, Mike is gonna win, because they're all like, Mike this and this and this and that. Mike this, and we don't really know about what Marianne did. Romeo ain't really done much, so it was like, oh, Mike is a deserving winner. So it was like, he wasn't my first choice to win.
I wouldn't have been mad if he won though.
I'll give Mike his props. I like Mike. Mike is cool, and Mike played a really great game. So I'm like, you know what, Mike, if you take it, take it. And so we get to the final tribal council, and the jury unleashes their questions upon them. And the one question that, I don't know, do y'all want to talk about questions that y'all liked, or what did y'all see that kind of stood out to you?
I don't really have questions. I just have moments.
Okay, well, let's talk about those moments then.
Okay, I think my main moment was basically they all first of all, they all came in undecided. And so it was very clear too, because it was almost like the jury was very unimpressed with who this final three was.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, Romeo, okay, what was your game?
Show us on.
Marianne, what? I slept next to you. Dre was like, I slept next to you all
and I don't know what you were doing.
I don't know what you was doing in the game. So please enlighten me. Tell me. It was Mike was the only person who had a visible game to them. So they're just like, okay,
and
what
it was
is
a snake. And it was a snaky game.
And so they were not impressed with that. Their feelings were hurt. So they were bitter. Especially Jonathan, child. I had wrote that down several times. I'm like, oh, here go Jonathan with a bitter jab again.
Because Hai and Omar kept like, okay, you kept saying you want to come in here with integrity and be honest player, but you were snaking people. So can you talk about that? So did you snake people intentionally, and can you own up to that, or what? And then he was like, no, I did play. And so here comes Jonathan, like you said, oh, so you want to say that was honorable what you did? You breaking your promises and da 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 da. Sir,
he was in his feelings.
Relax. But I will say, I think as he kept answering these questions, or not failing to, or he was failing to answer the questions the way the jury wanted, because they were like, you say this is how you wanted to play.
He was stumbling a little bit.
This is what we perceived you, how we perceived you to play. How do you respond to this? And he would not own up to him snaking. He was like, I don't believe it. I believe the only promise I broke was to Roxroy. I shook his hand and I told him I wasn't gonna vote him out, and I did. And here go Omar. You said that earlier that the only person you lied to was Roxroy. That ain't true, because you voted out Stithberg. You sat there and told Drea, we gonna make an alliance, we vote out, but you really voted her out. So let's talk about it. And so he kept stumbling. I'm like, oh my.
And that's when he started losing. That's when he started losing. Once they started getting deeper into trying to get him to fess up. Because at first I was like, okay, yeah, Mike got this in the bag. Okay, he's in the lead. And then he started going back because they were not impressed with his snake game.
Because there was a social aspect. They wanted, so they started with social. And they were like, oh, you had a great social game. The social game was amazing. But this. And so he was failing on that.
It was a lot of but this. Yeah.
Yes, and he was failing on that. Where everybody else, they were kind of like, with Romeo, you really have no social game, like, because you on the bottom.
Romeo was mind his business.
So the thing about it, speaking of social game, who was it? I think I wrote it down. They said they told Marianne that her social game was the term that was used. I'm like, I would not say that her social game was that bad. What was it? What did he say, child? It was some term
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
Oh, no. Omar says He said,
Like a
"Oh,
toddler?
your social game was very sloppy. You had a very sloppy
Sloppy
social
social
game."
game in the beginning. Yeah.
Like,
And I'm like,
how do you have a sloppy social game?
I don't
Either you
know.
have
I
a
didn't
good
like
social
that.
game or you have a bad social game.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about at the
He
beginning
was
when we were on
friendly.
Taku.
Because she was getting on everybody's nerves, basically. But I wouldn't call
That
that a
was
sloppy
sloppy. She was
social
just
game.
friendly.
That was just
Yeah.
her personality.
That's who she is. You can tell that's
Yep.
genuinely Marianne.
All
So
right.
for him to be, oh, you had a sloppy social game. I'm like, you're talking about her true character at this
Right.
point.
But you
I
know
didn't like that.
what? She didn't let that deter her because she was like,
Nope.
you know what? You can say that. I can. Yeah, you can. Even though sometimes you gotta just humble thyself. Okay, before you can be exalted, sometimes you gotta humble yourself. So she humbled her, even if it wasn't true. I know in the back of, because you know how in the back of her head she probably like, who he calling sloppy social game?
Exactly.
But
Right.
yes, I agree with you. My social game was sloppy, but when it got to the merge, I did a 180. Okay, and I started making connections and I started maneuvering and doing this and doing that. I'm like, okay, so she answered that well. Then they get to the physical aspect. And this part I could really care less because they talking about, oh, Mike, you built the tent. I don't care about you building no tent. That ain't got nothing to do with me giving you $1 million.
Somebody was gonna build if it weren't you.
That is not going to be the determining factor here. If I'm going
and then
to,
what Romeo? What he say? You know, I've never even been out at camping before. So I'm basically Romeo was like, I'm just happy to be here, y'all.
Romeo basically, I ain't really do nothing, but
he said,
I'm
I
here.
didn't even came here to win $1 million. I just
said,
came
I'm
here
out
to
here.
get to the end.
Get to the
I
end.
said, okay.
And did.
He said, wow.
He said, I'm gonna leave here with something.
I'm leaving here with something.
But then Marianne, you know, I was gutting them fish, and
back
I
in
may
my
not
tribe,
have a fish,
yeah,
but I can gut them. I said, come on
like,
here,
my
gutting
family
fish.
eats tilapia, and for years, you know, I've been gutting fishes and stuff. Now I might not can go out into the ocean and catch a fish, but baby, the way I can prepare a fish, and I was like, look, and she did just that, and everybody probably like, you know what, she was getting them fishes, you know what I'm saying?
The thing though with her, when they got to, what was the last thing they talked about? Was it the social?
You talking about her social game?
The actual the last round of questions.
I can't remember, child.
Oh, okay. At least Eric is frozen with a smile on his face. Amen. But the last portion though, when they were asking questions about just really having them sum up their game, like help me to help you win. I'm still undecided. Help me to help you win. When it came to that, I was very Marianne. She settled it for herself.
Right. She speaks very well. That's the one thing. Even if Marianne, of course, Marianne made moves and did what she had to do to win. But at the very end of the day, a lot of these people you haven't spoke to in weeks. You have to convey your game to them, and Marianne did just that. And every question she got answered, she got asked, she answered.
Yes,
and in
to the
detail.
point where they were like, okay, so you made it to you. What was your game at the end? She was like, look, Mike said he was going to bring me to the end. Romeo said he was going to bring me to the end. Lindsay, I wanted to use the idol on you, but she said, it is, I had to take a chance to lose by playing for a chance to win. And so I say, I know that's right, girl. And so when she talked about how she positioned herself with everybody, basically she was going to be in the final three regardless.
Like, I'm going to be here.
She let them know that. And then that's when she whipped out that darn,
that was
idol.
The way Jaws dropped.
Baby.
Child, the way that she pulled up that idol and said, the best kept secret, didn't nobody know. I got people to use idols on me. I got people to save me, and had this in my pocket the whole time. And what?
And at that moment, they were looked around like, okay.
She won the game at that point.
Yes.
She did.
You can see.
That's security right there. I said, everybody face said,
because I don't. Dre asked that question, and she like, so tell me what you like. Why? What strategic thing did you do on your own? Because Jonathan tried to take away the fact that she didn't do the Omer plan. Talking about you did not come up with that plan. That was my plan. I told Mike to tell you.
Okay, but your plan, you didn't even vote Omer out.
Right.
But even if that was okay, really it was Mike's plan. But y'all didn't execute it. She did it. So therefore she gets the credit for it. But anyway,
the move wouldn't have went forward if she didn't do it. So
so for her to have to come up with her own plan, and like y'all already mentioned, like she basically said, like, I was getting to the end come hell or high water because I had my own idol to bring me here. But because I had made a friend in Mike saved me. I let him use his idol for me so I can keep my little trinket in my pocket.
Her idol. That right there, when he used that idol on her, like that whole everything, I felt like that played part in her winning the game too. Like I had mentioned earlier.
For sure.
I'm like, all of this.
Had somebody else use their idol on you?
Win. Right.
Yep.
One on the same tribe, barely one, barely worked.
They barely
together.
had a relationship like that. For you to that
barely.
Really puts a flashlight or a spotlight
Speaks
on
to who she is.
Your social game. Yes.
Because
the way you manipulated that man to use that on you, sis.
Baby.
Yeah.
I wish that Mary Ann had delved deeper into how she was using her emotions as strategy at times.
Yes. I thought she was going to bring up. Y'all remember that little rice negotiation? How I brought the tears out, and I knew I was on the bottom. But I said, if I can strategically, like, say, hey, if we're going to sit out for this rice, y'all can't vote for me because I know I was on the chopping block.
Yeah, she was going home that day.
She was.
I swear she was going home that tribal.
If Chanel didn't go, you know what I'm saying? Had Chanel won, she would have been on the chopping block.
Yep.
So, granted, she did have an idol at that point, so she could have used it. But then, that would have put her at risk later on in the game. So
I felt bad for Romeo, and and Jeff is messy too, and so I even felt bad when Jeff was being messy. So Romeo, basically you won and lost. You won the last thing. You were responsible for your own safety to get here. How does it feel to get to the end and get no votes?
Because damn, Jeff, it don't feel too good.
It was because it was a 7-1. 7 of the votes were from Mary Ann.
He was wrong for that.
I'm like, sir,
he could have put that in the afterthoughts.
Salt in the wound, or whatever you call it. Alcohol in the wound, whatever.
Romeo, I would, if I were Romeo, I would have took another bite of that piece and said, I'm leaving here with some.
Listen,
I would have said, I got here, Jeff, and these other.
How many other people can say they got to the final on Survivor 42?
These other 8 people can't say
only
the same.
2 other people can say that.
And he had mentioned, you know what? I didn't come here to win $1 million. I didn't know how to swim. I learned how to swim because so I can come on this show.
Come on the show.
I'm afraid of heights. I just wanted to make it to the end. I said, so you know what? Hats off to him. He stayed in there. He was at the bottom like the entire time.
Yeah.
So shout out to Romeo. Although you didn't get any votes, you hung in there, child.
Yeah.
Romeo gets my petty vote of the season, and he is my favorite petty person because the way he be
his facial expressions
he be doing,
his confessionals, they're like, that's how
the way Romeo mind his business and keep it moving, like, well, I'm here. Shoot, shout out to Romeo. I like Romeo.
He's cool.
So any other thoughts though, you guys? Like, are you guys happy with the ending of this?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Season?
Mary Ann O'Ketch, Soul Survivor, winner of season 42.
Congratulations.
Like we said, we haven't had a Black woman winner in 20 years.
2 decades.
So the fact that I was 13 years old, the last time somebody won is wild. Didn't nobody ask how old you were, Eric? I was talking about my age. 13, the young years.
Okay, but 5 is younger, so.
Bye. Back in our youngin' days. That's just wild. So shout out to Mary Ann, sis. Hit up the DM, sis. We want to talk to you, sis.
Yes, come on through.
I'm so proud of you, Mary Ann. I know everybody doubted you. They didn't believe in you.
I doubted her. I was like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Look,
it was I should have said,
they talked about Jesus too, girl. They didn't believe in him either. You see what he did? He came back in 3 days.
But look, let me tell you, the one thing, episode 2, it had to be our first or second episode. We literally said Mary Ann could win this game if she
tightened it up.
Learned how to Like, get that personality together, sis.
Tighten up.
You can't be sunshines and rainbows and butterflies 24/7.
And we said that like episode 1.
We did.
Yeah,
it's like as long as she learns how to taper that off, use it when she can, and tone it down when people are down. Like, you know, when people don't want to hear that, because, you know, some people get irritated. Like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to be chipper and happy. Just she learned how to taper that off, and baby,
that played it apart.
She got that meal.
Was it Tori that said something about her? She was like, from our perception, that you didn't take the game as serious as other people at some point.
And it's like she left, it probably was true.
Yeah, and so, but she mentioned like it wasn't that I didn't take it serious, but that's just, you know, that was me having to adjust. That was just and so, and I think that too, that just makes you think about like, who are you to tell somebody that they're not taking something as serious, and why do they have to take it serious?
I would say, well, Tori, you left in week 5, so you didn't really see my game progress, right? So, you know, there are levels to this, and you missed it.
God. You're sitting there, and I'm sitting here,
baby. The way I would have just there are levels to this, babe.
Look, you would have lost that vote,
and I would have Tori. I would have been so petty with her.
I wasn't as mad as Tori because I knew Tori was actually on Marianne's side. And so I knew that she was trying to just give her ways to, and that's what I think Jeff mentioned that too.
Her game. Drea did that too.
Yeah, she did. And I think I mentioned that to you guys.
Drea was pulling that information out of her, and I loved it for it.
Because Drea kept like, oh, I don't know what Marianne has done, so I want a woman to win, but I'm a competitor at heart. And I think in this, I could be wrong, y'all can say what y'all think, because of the whole, you know, the tribal council, when they brought up, we talked about race and how it impacted the game and how they had to make that decision. And so people are like, oh, Drea's just gonna vote for her because she's Black. And so in Drea's mind, because Drea's intelligent, she's like, I'm gonna, for confessional why and what I'm saying, I'm gonna be hard on Marianne. I'm gonna make it seem like I don't want her to win.
Intentional.
I want.
And you want to know?
But I'm voting for her anyway.
Exactly. You want to know what I bet happened? Of course, you know, the jury talks, you know, say it's the day of the finale or whatever, and they go through. Would y'all even vote for Marianne? Marianne is gonna have to tell me A, B, or C, or D for to even get my vote. And I bet you Drea went on there. Well, Marianne, tell us exactly what you did on Thursday at 7:00, because they was, you know, asked what you do on Thursday at 7:00. You know what I mean? And so shout out to Drea, because I don't know if she was doing it intentionally, and I feel like she did, but I think Drea helped her get that win over. She went over jury.
She did what Marianne did. So, you know, during that tribal camp, Marianne said, I'm going to use this idol so people can say it was race that kept me safe. So just for the perception of the audience. So for the perception of the audience, Drea's like, I'm going to, so they can't say I just voted for her because she's a Black woman or a woman. I'm going to give her a difficult question that's going to allow her to elaborate and articulate her game perfectly enough that will keep it unequivocally, make her the winner. And so, and that's what it did. Her question led to Marianne's answer that won her the game.
Definitely.
So
I mean, of course she already had my vote. I ain't gonna lie to you. But that right there would have swayed me. And you can tell the drops in everybody's faces. They was like, oh. So yeah.
It was like a still in the room at that point. It was like, okay, that settles it.
It was like a calm. It was like, this is
it really did. Like a wave hit, and it was just like, okay.
Like you can't come from that. You don't get an answer like that and not win this game. You don't.
Yep. Shout out to Marianne.
Major congratulations to you.
Congratulations.
20 years. Take your crown, queen.
Yes.
And wear proudly, sis.
The second in a row. Right?
And a woman hasn't won back-to-back since season 25, I believe.
Wow. Congratulations.
She did it.
Congratulations.
You represented for everybody out there who faith-based players. You took the risk that they don't normally take. For those who are considered weird and outcasted, you represented for them. You showed them you were yourself from beginning to end. You evolved. You were strategizing. You played with your heart on your sleeve, and you gave incredible answers to everything
that
you were asked. Couldn't ask for a better ending.
Isn't it? You know, and on that note, listeners, audience,
I'm about to go lie down.
Look, we about to go lay down.
Yeah, it's almost 12 o'clock here. I'm tired.
This is what we call dedication. we wanted to put this out for you all right after the finality, child, so that you could right after the finale,
making a word,
so that you can hear our thoughts. You can get a quick recap. We wasn't 3 hours like the episode. Now we gave you a good 50 minutes, but you have this recap. We thank you for tuning in for this season. We will be back for Survivor 43, and we will also be back for Big Brother US season 24.
I guess.
In the meantime, please be on the lookout for video interviews with some former cast members of Big Brother and Survivor. We're going to try to get some Survivor folks on here during the off season. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next time, bye.
We are survivors.
Enjoy your summer, because we about to enjoy ours.
Indeed. Deuces.
Peace.